Let's just lay things out with a canvas on the screen here. Canvas is one of the simplest controls for laying things out in that things are absolutely positioned, and it doesn't do any kind of dynamic resizing for you. If you want to do that, you have to do it yourself. I'm using a tool called XAMLpad here, which really targets Windows Presentation Foundation, WPF, but it's just as applicable for playing with XAML for Silverlight, really. What we can do is create a canvas. Let's set the background on that canvas to be yellow or something like that so that you can see it. Okay, and then we've got a yellow canvas which is currently filling the page that's the space here that's available to it. If we put something onto this canvas, like a button for instance, let's put a button on there, and into the button let's put click me. Then the button just appears up there in the top left, as you would probably expect, and we can change that. We could say, for instance, let's move that button by setting a couple of properties that we call attach properties, properties that the canvas kind of attaches to its children here, like button. So we can say canvas.left, for instance, equals 96 and moves that 96 pixels in. We could say canvas.right equals 96 and move it over there. We can say canvas.bottom equals 96, move it over there, and on the left in that case. If we want to put our left thing back, we can do that as well. Let's just add that back in. And we can say canvas.top as well and move it to the top. So we can essentially move the thing, positioning it with respect to the left, the right, the top, or the bottom. So that's all fine and dandy. We can also go ahead and set widths and heights, of course. The button is currently setting itself to the height that it thinks it needs to be. So if we make this longer, then the button will just grow to fit that size and do the right thing. But we could go and make the button a specific height. So we could say width equals, let's say, 192, and height equals 192 or something like that. And then the button is going to be as big as we've set it to be, even if that means colliding with other things on the canvas. So if we were to, for instance, to put a rectangle here on the canvas, let's say fill equals red, let's say width equals 96, height equals 96. And if we were to put this at canvas.left equals, where are we at with the button, 96, and canvas.top equals 96, then the rectangle essentially appears on top of the button. And as you might expect, you can't click the button through the rectangle, but you can click the button if you're not over the rectangle, because the rectangle is on top of the button in terms of the Z ordering here. And that's really what Canvas does for you. So if you were to now resize this UI, so let's just resize this like this, nothing really happens. You know, nothing moves around, nothing resizes. It's up to you to resize canvases. It's not something that the canvas control does for you. It's not something that it has as a piece of functionality. So the two key things really to know about here are top and left, bottom and right, and width and height, in order to make sure that your things show up on a canvas. Generally speaking, unless you have a real need for it, you probably avoid Canvas because it doesn't do anything dynamic in terms of its layout. It can be quite limited in terms of its layout. If you need absolute positioning, then you probably know that. If you're managing some kind of diagramming tool or something, you probably need absolute positioning, and then you would use Canvas. But in general cases, you probably would avoid it and go with something like Grid or Stack Panel, which we'll look at in a separate couple of videos.